Tackle junkies. What's going on, everyone? Really appreciate you guys and gals for clicking on the video. Hopefully everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July. Today we're going to talk about my jig setup. We'll talk about the jig itself, any modifications that I do to it, you know, rod, reel, line. I guess it was, I don't think it was last week, I think it was the week before. Me and Michael were fishing out here. He was tossing the jig and he was breaking off, and I knew right away what the problem was. He didn't get it, but after talking to him about it, I thought, you know what, that's a good idea for a video, and I'm sure majority of you guys know what I'm going to tell you, but for those of you that don't, you might enjoy this video. Real fast before we go any further, if you guys have been liking the videos that I've been putting out this season so far, definitely consider subscribing for future videos. If you like the videos, always smash that thumbs up. You know, leave some comments down below. The engagement between us really helps push the videos, so if you guys could, you know, smash the thumbs up, leave comments, I truly appreciate it. Okay, so first let's start with the jig. Okay, you can see here, obviously this is one of my go-to jigs. This entire box is full of them. This is the War Eagle jiu-jigtsu. Okay, they are available in a 1/2 ounce and 5/8. I mainly use the 1/2 ounce. Got all the awesome colors in here, a few of each. Just restock this box just because, like I said, Michael last week was breaking, a couple weeks ago was breaking a few off, so we're restocked, ready to go. But here is the jig here. Get all around like you know, pitching and flipping type jig. You could skip with it as well. It's a bit heavy for my liking, but it's a good head to skip with as well. But like I said, mainly just pitching and flipping. Okay, there's the jig there. Awesome hook in it. It's not too stout, but just a good hook. It's not too big either. I believe that's the owner, I could be wrong here, but I believe it's the owner Wire. I think that's what that's called there. But awesome hook. Again, it's not too stout, but stout enough for a jig hook. You don't need like an extra heavy rod or anything for this particular hook. Okay, so it's really no heavier than like your standard wire jig hook that you would see. Weed guard's about perfect. It's a bit long. I usually like it right to the barb there, so I'll cut a little bit of that off there, but it's not too thin, not too stiff. Okay, so nice weed guard. Skirts are awesome. War Eagle just makes one heck of a jig. You guys can pick these up over there at Lurenet. Code TJ81 will save you guys 15% off the entire website, so definitely check that out. Okay, so let's just start with a little haircut. Okay, little haircut, man. I guess we can put it in this rag here. Want to make the boat a mess and have the wife have to vacuum it up, you know. But anyways, summertime fishing, when the water's warm, I like a bit shorter skirt, really for a couple reasons. For one, in the summertime, I like my jig to be a bit more, have a bit more action to it, and the shorter the skirt, the faster the response. The colder the water, I'll leave it a bit longer. It's a little more like fluid, a little more slower for the conditions. Okay, but for me, rule of thumb, obviously when I'm putting a trailer on here, I usually cut it just to the bottom of the hook, and I'll just kind of gather it all up there. Okay, like so. Get a scissors there. Let's turn it around here actually. Pull it all together. You don't have to get too particular with it, and then just trim her up. Okay, just like that. Like I said, that bit shorter skirt, a little faster response, a bit more action to it. But another reason for cutting it shorter is the skirt material won't interfere with the action of your trailer. Okay, as far as the weed guard goes, again, I like it right to the back of the barb, so I'll just take a little bit off. I don't cut any angles on them or nothing like that. I just want them just a bit shorter. Get the bubbas here. I'm just taking off a hair. Okay, okay, so just trimmed it up so when I push it down, it's right there on the barb. okay? And of course you can fan it out a little bit, get you a little more protection. That's about really all I do to it, okay? I don't fan it out too much. The thinner it gets, it's not really going to do a whole lot of protecting. Obviously it's too thin, so I like to keep it a bit thicker, but fan it out just a little bit, okay? That for me is perfect, okay? That baby there is ready to tie on. Let's go ahead and put our trailer on first. Yum chunks is what I like the little bit bigger size. I think it's a 3.25. They also have the 2.75. The 2.75 I like for the War Eagle, the ball finesse jigs, but this here, the 3.25, is great for the jiu-jitsus. All right, get one of these here. Now, if you've never done this before, you can just kind of line it up to see where the hook's going to come out. Okay, so go to the end there, kind of gauge it. And really, if you look at those grooves, those V grooves on the bait, the very last one is where I pull the hook point out. Okay, just rigor straight. Okay, right between the eyes there. Like so, okay. That one there's actually a bit too long. Let's go back just a hair. I went down to the eyes. I should have did what I originally said right there at the last little groove. Like so. Okay. Nice and straight there, you can see. And it also has a little, let me go ahead and show you. It has a little wire keeper. You'll see here, this wire keeper. Okay, that wire keeper there. So right where that keeper is, go ahead and squeeze that plastic, and that locks it down, okay? If it does slide off there, the plastic is pretty much shot just because it rips it in half. But that really locks it down, and that jig is ready to go. There's one other thing we'll do to it. We'll do that when we tie her on. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. We'll go over rod, reel, line in a second here. We'll go ahead and go over the knot too. Let's go ahead and do the whole deal here. Okay. I was throwing Texas rigs on this combo last week or week before, last time I was out. I keep forgetting last week was 4th of July and I wasn't here, so. But anyways, okay. For the knot, tying the Palomar, I mean, I tie the Palomar probably 98% of the time. It's a go-to knot, simple, fast, strong, okay? And I got videos on this. This video is not for the knots, so I'm not going to show it in super detail, but I will link a video down below for this knot that I do it much slower. Okay. Just a double line through the eye there. Make sure your lines aren't crossed. Quick overhand knot. Okay. Loop, bring the bait through the loop. Grab that with your finger. Grab the jig, wet the line. Cinch her down like so, and cut off the tag end. Okay, so our jig is tied on. So let's talk about the line, okay? For the most part, when I'm casting a Texas rig or a jig, as long as the jig has a wire or hook diameter, really this or smaller, I'm fine with casting that jig or Texas rig and only using 15-pound test, okay? On a cast, even if you jack them like super hard on the hook set, okay, that cast distance away, there's enough line out, there's enough stretch in that line to help absorb the shock, okay, of that hook set. when you're close, me and Michael weren't even 15, 20 feet from this line of reeds up here. Like I said, he broke off a few fish, and I kept telling him what the problem was. You know, 15-pound test, when you only have 15 or 20 foot of line out, maybe 25 foot of line out, there's not enough line out to help absorb the shock of that hook set, okay? So when you're fishing up close, at least for me, okay, it has a lot to do with, for one, the size fish that you're targeting, or the size fish that are in your lake, the cover that you're fishing around, you know, the gauge wire hook, you know, things like that. But again, I'm not around huge fish. We don't really have gnarly cover on this lake. I'm not using big old like gaff hooks. So for me, a good standard is 17-pound test. Sometimes I will go up to 20, but for me, 17, I've never had any issues breaking off. If you would have had 17, 20-pound test, I can promise you he would not have broken off. Just too light a pound test for that close of fishing. And like I said, you know, when you have a bit stouter hook, stouter rod, and you're laying into them, something's gonna give. And that initial shock, usually it's going to be the line if it's not strong enough. So for me, again, close quarter fishing, 17 at a minimum, okay, with a jig hook. Now, if I'm Texas rig fishing, like I got one out here for Texas rigs, okay, this is one of my go-to setups here. This is 15-pound test, all right, 15 pound, but I'm using a much lighter wire there, okay, much lighter wire hook. That is the Mustad Alpha Point EWG grip pin. It doesn't take that much force to set that hook. So in this situation, I don't go up to 17. So usually when I'm using a thicker gauge wire hook, and I know I got to put a little more force into it, that's when I go up to the 17, okay? So 17-pound test. This is Seaguar Tatsu. Seaguar Tatsu is what I'm running for my jigs, okay? For the jig rod, this is, I'm really loving these rods. I've been using these rods now for some time, but the more I use them, the more I love them. Okay, this is the Kistler Chromium. Now, I do believe, and I got a video, or I got a review, I should say, on one of these rods, but I do believe these come standard now with cork, but you might still be able to get them with this carbon wrap. And it's just an awesome rod. Super light, comfortable, absolutely love it. This one here is the Texas Carolina Rig jig rod. Okay, so Texas rigs, jigs, Carolina rigs. It is a 7'1", medium heavy, okay, fast action, all right? Now, typically when I'm, you know, pitching a jig, you know, I don't like a super long rod. I do like a bit shorter rod just because I'm trying to be more accurate as I'm up close. A longer rod's going to give you a bit more leverage. I'm just more comfortable with, you know, a 7-footer, really anywhere from like a 7-foot to like a 7.3. I don't really have a need for heavy power. Again, that comes down to the size fish you're targeting, the gauge wire hook that you have, the cover that you're fishing around. We really don't really have much cover on this lake. If it was like thick cover, I would have a heavier power rod. Probably go to that 20-pound test to be able to lean on them and get them out fast. But like I said, I really don't have much cover on this lake. Medium heavy works just fine for me. Again, the 7'1", medium heavy fast action rod. Okay, so 17-pound Seaguar Tatsu, 7'1", medium heavy fast action rod, and this is the Metanium DC 70, an absolute dream to fish with. I have a review on this reel. It is absolutely awesome. I'll link it down below. Definitely check it out. But this reel is in a 7'1". Anytime I have a dedicated combo to work the bottom, Texas rigs, jigs, or whatever, I like a faster reel because I'm using the rod to work the bait. The reel's just picking up slack. If I'm just pitching, I can get more pitches in with a faster reel versus a slower reel, obviously, because it's moving more line. I still don't like an 8-speed just because, you know, still the higher you go or the faster you go, the more power you lose. For me, a 7-speed is a good, happy medium, okay? So that's basically, that's my jig combo. There's the jig, War Eagle jig, Yum Chunk. You guys seen a couple little modifications that I made. 17-pound test, Seaguar Tatsu, 7'1", medium heavy fast action rod, Metanium DC 7071 reel. Guys, this is a killer Texas rig jig setup. Now for the little, we'll call it like a little secret, all right? Little secret tip here. A little JJ's Magic. Get yourself a little chartreuse. Just the tip. Just tip. See how it feels? Oh man. That's all you need. Just that little tip there. It don't look like much, but when you get it in the water, that baby glows, man. Well, JJ's Magic, and you are good to go. I like chartreuse. It's a garlic scent. Stuff works fantastic. Guys, that should wrap it up. That's my jig setup from the jig to the rod reel line. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smash that thumbs up. Love you guys, and we will see you guys on the next one.